You are a unique individual with the power to change lives just by being who you are, sharing your wisdom, and telling your story. Welcome, everybody, to Jen Penn's Live. I can say that again, Jen's Penn Live, where we find interesting people who make the world a better place and ask them to share their story. Today, we are blessed to have Jen and Stacey Conkey with us. They are the founders of Warriors of Wealth, and they have taught thousands of people all around the world what it takes to succeed in real estate investing. Jen and Stacey, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Awesome.
We have the same name, so it's cool.
It is. There's like only two of us in the world.
Totally.
I'm the only other Jen I've ever met.
I love it.
That's funny.
We're last name Conkey. I'm Sullivan, so there's a few of us out there.
Yeah, there might be a couple of Sullivans.
Yeah, one or two. I've only met one or two. So, ladies, tell us about what you do. What is Warriors of Wealth? How do you help people?
So our focus is in multifamily real estate investing, both in practice and what we do, and also in what we teach. So Warriors of Wealth is a training organization to help people go from, gosh, someday I want to buy cash flow real estate. I want to buy multifamily to I've done it. So our highest value is helping people get results. Because I know that for me, when I was going through my education almost 20 years ago, and it's a common problem in the industry, people want to learn. And so there's lots of companies out there who will just teach and shove a bunch of information down their throat. But it's really not actionable because it's not organized in any way that is logical for people. And so people pay a lot of money to just keep learning and learning and learning, and they never do anything with it.
Right.
So yeah, that's why we wanted to disrupt the whole education industry when it came to real estate education. We both we've invested our own time, money, everything into real estate education. And I walked away after a $40,000 seminar with a binder and no plan of implementation and thought that felt really awful. And so we just know there's more of them out there. And we wanted to disrupt that pattern and really get people into results. So, you see a lot of folks out there invest a lot of money in seminars or education and not get the results they're looking for. So our whole mission was to make sure we put that first. So the number one value at Warriors of Wealth is that they get results, and that transforms lives. And we kind of get a little addicted to that, actually.
Very much so.
That must be so cool to see people actually build wealth and have their whole lives change because of what you've taught them. What do you think is the thing that keeps people from actually doing it, taking those actionable steps or finding them?
Yeah, the number one is fear. And then if you go and you break it down even further, what's causing the fear? And, especially people who generally get into real estate investing, more typically they're doing it once they're already kind of into their career life. Not that everybody has to be. We have some young people in our program, but most people are in their, 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're already well established. They're really good at what they do. And they're used to being an expert at it. So it is scary and really uncomfortable to go back to starting something new, because you don't remember what it was like to not know things. And so as soon as you start trying to do something and you don't know everything, you're like, wait, I'm not used to this anymore. So sometimes you have to remind them, there was a time where you didn't know what you were doing at all. And this is just, give it a few years, you'll be right back there at expert level, but you have to start somewhere. So I think it's really fear of the unknown. There's a fear of losing money, fear of making a mistake and then losing money because of it. Fear of looking or sounding stupid when you're used to being like the bomb.com and everybody thinks you're amazing because you're really good at what you do. I think there's just a lot of things that
I think also it's the fear of the unknown, not only from mistakes they might make, but also where to start, right? Because you can just go to youtube.com and find dozens upon dozens of channels where there's thousands upon thousands of videos that talk about all kinds of random strategies that you don't really know the pieces of the puzzle. Right. So it's like this just disorganized chaos. And, we really try to put it into, okay, here's some organized information to help you with speed of implementation and make sense of it. But that's not the case in most in situations. You'll see people out there just like scrolling through YouTube and watching videos because they want to be certain about something, but they don't know where to start. And so they're just confused. So analysis paralysis is what we refer to. That and fear, right? And God forbid if they've tried before, but been in a program where they got burnt and they didn't get results, then they're really fearful. So those are usually the biggest pieces that keep people from entering.
So someone comes to you, they have no idea they have a vague idea that real estate is like a good way to build wealth, but they don't know much else. What do you start with? How do you start with them?
Well,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, so usually when someone comes to us and they're coming in like into our training organization, we have a Facebook group, which is our, public platform. There's like 19,000 people in there. And then we have like our mastermind, which is where we train everyone and help them with their deals. By the time they're coming to us, they usually are already pretty clear that they know real estate is the way. So we're never trying to convince anyone, you should get into real estate. We don't have time for that. What we have time for is if you know you want to do it, we're going to help you do it. Mm-hmm. So knowing that they're starting at that point, right. Typically what we're doing is finding out what is your background? Have you ever done anything in real estate before? And then also what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Because then that's going to help us know which path we're going to advise they go on, whether it's going to be small multifamily, like 2 to 4 units, which is a little bit easier to get started in, and you can get deals faster, or if they're going to go into apartment investing, which you can make more money in it, but it takes longer to get that ball rolling, takes more capital, et cetera. So it's usually just starting with what do they want to accomplish, and then just trying to guide them towards which path makes sense for them to start on based on their resources, their goals, their knowledge level, et cetera. Yeah.
So it's like a custom tailored thing because it's going to be different for each person.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
So what made you start doing this? Like, why did you choose to do this? How did you come to that?
Love this.
Do you mean like why did we start teaching,
or why did we start?
You know what? Let's start with why did you start? Let's work our way back. Why did you start teaching? And then we'll talk about how you got to real estate.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, for me personally, it was back in 2003 and I spent $40,000 on it because I was so excited at the concept. I was like, this is going to be amazing. It sounds so fun. I don't have to go to a job, all the things. And I went through that education, spent a lot of money, and I was so motivated. I was like, nothing will stop me. I'm going to do this no matter what. But wow, what it was like to really do it versus what I was taught was so incredibly different. And when I was going through it, I was like, wow, they literally left out like 90% of the information that was actually necessary to truly know what you're doing. So I just made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot, but even way back then, I've always been a natural teacher. I've always wanted to teach whatever I know. I've always wanted to teach it. So to adults, not to kids. I'm not a kid teacher. But I was just motivated back then. Like it shouldn't be this hard. Like I'm learning all these things that I could have learned that from them and then not lost this 2,000, not lost this 8,000, not lost this 15,000. They could have taught that. And someday if I ever figured this out, I'm going to go back and teach it. And so it was kind of planted in me very early that once I figure this out, I'm going to go back and teach it because other people are not going to be as motivated as me. They're not going to be as unstoppable from a mindset standpoint as me. And they're going to give up. And that's not like they deserve more. And so it took me a while to learn enough to be able to go back and start like teaching other people and being able to break down complex subjects into something that's easy to understand when you're getting started. But for me, that was my big motivation back then. I was like, this is way too complex. This is too hard. And it shouldn't be like that. And it's because the education was complete garbage, and people deserve better because they deserve to be able to change their life. And they are not going to do it like this because they're going to give up.
For me, we really feel like we have a purpose in life to unleash the potential in all of our students and really change their vantage point on this. So for me, it was, I watched Stacey. She started training people a long time before we even got together, right? I also was investing in 2003 as a side hustle, if you will, while I was working full-time in corporate America. So for me, it was a different game. It was trying to figure out how to work full-time, how to do this real estate thing as a side gig, and I never really had like this massive goal to become this huge real estate mogul. It was just like, oh yeah, that's good extra cash. And then I ended up, when we first started dating, I realized that she had this cool passion about it, and she was tremendous at teaching people how to implement it. But my thing was always strategies, right? Like you can make money in a down market, you can make money when the market is booming, you can make money no matter what. It all comes down to the strategy. And that's where I come in. So like when you think about the two of us, I'm the one who's like, oh, this is what you should do. And this is the strategy and how you, and then that, oh, you want to know how to do it? Okay, here you go. Right. So because that's how we run our own investment business. I have the strategies down and then she's in the weeds helping with the team and getting all of the investments happening and popping and booming and closing. And I'll manage contractors and do that. So knowing that we have this system, it kind of felt like a little greedy to not share it to everybody. Well, she was teaching people one-on-one, and I thought, well, if we could do it one to many, more people, impact more people, there's a ripple effect to that, and we can change a lot more lives. And then she had this idea, hey, let's convert it this way, and we just like started brainstorming, and it became a passion. Then it was, oh man, we can do really big things with this, and it just started to grow. It just started to grow and took off. So it's kind of fun.
And then as our students started to have, because we could now reach a lot more students at one time. So as students started getting like results. Now we were having a ton of our students having closing. And
they're all together hearing each other.
Yeah. And so they're getting all but more excited. And it's hard because when you're new as an entrepreneur, it's super lonely. Sometimes it's like, where are you going to go and be around weirdos like you who actually want to have more in life, right? It feels when you're in it, it doesn't feel like there's very many other people like that. So when we created this community of investors, both in our Facebook group, but then in our mastermind, people started believing even more because they would see someone who only started 30 days before them and they're starting to get into deals and they're like, oh, hold on a second. So, and it's even more so than when Jen and I can say, look, this is exactly what you need to do to get into a deal. And the people who will follow that, they will get into a deal. And then there's other people who will be like, going on their own path. But it's like, they don't believe us that they can get in that quickly until they see a peer do it, a peer who did do exactly what we did. So someone who's 30 days behind or just started 30 days later than someone else, as soon as they see them get into a deal, they're like, oh, something clicks and they're like, oh, it is doable for me. Even though we've been telling them that, it's like they can believe it more from someone that they're at the same level with. So it's just like the believability just started going bigger because everyone, and then more and more people were getting their first deal, getting their second, the third, the fourth deal, going into apartments, getting their first apartment building. And it just continued to build.
And that momentum gets contagious, right?
Yeah.
And so we see a different level of results in this group environment in our community than we did in one-on-one. And that is what makes us keep going.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and the people who are in it, they love it because they're not alone anymore. They're in a community of other people who are just as crazy as they are. God, can you imagine? You want to actually have passive cash flow and willing to go for it. Yeah. And so it feels really good for them to be part of a community of like-minded people and having us available and our elite coaches to actually literally hold their hand across the finish line through the closing and then through managing the contractors or doing a value add or, how do you handle a property manager who's, pushing back on you when you're trying to establish things. And so there's a lot of challenges in this business. Real estate investing is not easy. And sometimes people make it sound like, oh yeah, it's just passive. You just, go to the beach and your money just comes in. Well, I mean, in theory, that's sort of true, but there's a whole management of a team and business that still has to take place. And that's the big learning curve. So we have, we help people get into their first deal. Like that's the first win. So they go, I can do this. I have done it. Now sky's the limit. And then our next program for them is they come in and we teach them how to replicate and start to scale and actually build a legitimate business and deal with all the challenges that come with building a business so they can be just so much more successul faster.
Yeah. And how to actually manage that asset and get the most performance out of it. That's literally my favorite part.
Yeah.
So it's like a one-stop shop kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Once you get in the front door, we close the back door and we just take care of you. Like, just stay here.
Now, how did you ladies come to real estate to begin with?
Oh, you go ahead.
All right. Well, for me, I was actually just in corporate America. I was on the track. I was a controller at a public company, trying to work my way up to CFO. And I ended up going to a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within. And I just immediately was like, this is not what you're supposed to do with your life. And I was like, wait, what? But I got my CPA license and I did all the things. And anyway, so I knew that there was something more. So I just started, as I was still working, like exploring different things, and came across someone who was talking about a fourplex once. It was like a financial seminar. And it was like 4 days of like taxes and stocks and all sorts of things. And there was one speaker for like an hour and a half who talked about real estate, owning a fourplex. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Yes. And I was just like, immediately like, real estate is the way. That's what I want to do. And for me, that's where it started. Then I just started going to investor clubs and trying to get educated, and then found a seminar company and got educated.
More educated.
And then just kind of jumped into it. And that's what it was for me.
For me, I came home from work. I was working back in the day in corporate America, right? Like 7 years ago. I came home from work and my brother was at my house and he said, dude, I got the greatest idea. Betty down the street is flipping houses and she's got the inside connect on this HUD list. We got to do this. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? So this is back in like 2003. 2002, late 2002, early 2003, and literally just listened to him. We formed an LLC. I'll never forget it. It was Zenith Properties or some shit like that. Oh, sorry. And then ultimately got to the point where it was like, okay, we got into our first property, totally did the DIY approach. I think we made $1,500 a piece after 7 months. Brutal. Then moved on to the next one because we couldn't learn that first lesson, right? So fix and flip is where I got my first start, right? That's where, and I literally got, I don't want to do fix and flip anymore. Don't want to wholesale anymore. How can I buy and hold? That was my whole journey. And I also went to seminars. Like you collect so many binders. I think we have a stack of binders this tall. Right? But yeah, that literally, we independently didn't even know each other back then and got started around the same year doing different stuff. Yeah, I was doing fix and flip stuff and she was smarter, was starting with buy and hold and then went into fix and flips.
Hey,
and then I had to reconvince her to go back to buy and hold. It's a funny story, actually.
Well, tell it then.
Well, then tell it. So in 2008, when everything kind of went crazy, Stacey was in the midst of all that stuff, right? Well, I kind of saw things happening and stopped because all I knew how to do at that point in time was fix and flip or wholesale single family home. I was like, I'm not doing any of that right now. It's a little weird. She was in the mix of all of that, learned a whole bunch of valuable lessons. So by the time we started dating and I realized that she knew how to do remote investing, where I was stuck in California with very minimal margins, I was like, well, hold on a second. I have to date her more because there might be an opportunity here for us to combine strategies. And so after a few conversations, I was like, wait, what? Oh, we should do this and this. And she was like, oh no, I just have a little PTSD. And so we had some conversations. I was like, well, strategically, if we do this ratio and this ratio of buy and hold and flipping and doing that, we can literally have one of the companies feed the other for our buy and hold and go. So we just started doing it, but it took a little while for her to shake off 2008. I think it was like 450 properties that she was at risk with. So it was like, that could hurt a little bit, right? So like trying to convince her, no, let's do this again was a little bit of a challenge, but I'm really glad that we did it because, that was almost 10 years ago. It was a while ago. And now it's different, right? We're not fixing and flipping is kind of like working yourself into another job, honestly.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, so the buy and hold game is that's where the true wealth is.
Right, the cash flow, the cash flow.
Yeah, the cash flow. And sometimes, you got to fix and flip or you got to wholesale here and there to infuse your business with some capital so that you can continue that, but you're also leveraging other people's money if you're networking and doing it right.
Right.
So it was just a very interesting transition in the very beginning, but now we got it humming. It's good to go. A little PTSD never hurt anybody.
Right? Never.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you guys meet? I'm just curious.
Online. We met online. Yeah. It was a very interesting conversation. We were both coming out of divorce and had mutual interests like hiking, outdoor activities, and real estate, go figure. But I didn't realize that when I said real estate on there, what it was going to become. So thank you.
We work really well together.
Yeah, for sure.
We have very complementary skills when it comes to like business.
Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, we literally have the exact opposite strengths, and it's like weird. The perfect. Mm-hmm. We're perfectly combined when it comes to everything. Really.
Yeah, I'm that high level visionary, and she's okay. I know exactly what we have to do to make that happen, and I'm like, perfect. This is great. It's good stuff.
That's awesome. So, ladies, how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to?
Quickest way is Facebook. Or you could just Google search Jen Conkey or Stacey Conkey and find us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Our Facebook group's probably the best way. If you want to learn about multifamily investing, we have a huge community on Facebook. It's about 19,200 people in there right now.
Right.
I think it'll be at 20,000 by Christmas. We seem to be getting 100 new members a day. But that's the best container to meet us and get in touch with us. We have a weekly Ask Us Anything where we train you on a topic and then give you the opportunity on Zoom to ask us questions directly and just, interact with us. It's probably the best way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Facebook group. It's a multifamily and real estate investing without complicated syndication.
Oh yes, I forgot we added that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll have to make sure to include that in the description. I was actually just about to ask you, I'm sorry. What about your first buy and hold? What would your first buy and hold. Do you have like a story about that? That must have been an interesting experience.
Yeah, well, for me, we probably different first one, right? Anyway, for me, it started with actually my first attempt at buy and hold ended up being a fix and flip. Actually, my very first deal was a fix and flip, but it wasn't on purpose. It was just I was trying to get a duplex. Anyway, but my first deal I ended up getting. I lived in Sacramento, and it was in a suburb of Chicago, and it was already performing. And all I had to do basically was get the down payment, put down the down payment, get financing, and then it was performing. So that was my first one. It was really kind of anticlimactic. I was like, oh, okay. And I just started getting, a check every month in. So that was cool. And then just over time, I ended up expanding into doing more like the BRRRR strategy where you buy fixer-upper duplexes, triplexes, quads, get them fixed up, get them rented, and then refinance them based on their new improved value. And back then, they used to refinance at 90% of the value. So I was always able to then pull cash out, which is why 2008 was a painful time for me. But I was just very highly leveraged. But during that time, I learned how to do rehabbing remotely. And, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but the benefit of doing so many of those and making those mistakes early on is that it allowed me to develop a system where I could, check every box, cross every T and dot every I, and recognize that there are certain things I needed to do to make those deals safer. It's really common for people who are new, don't know any better, for the contractor to say, okay, it's 50% due up front and then 50% at 75% through. And what I learned over time is absolutely not. You're not getting any money up front. It's maybe I'll give you money for a dumpster, but you have no cost up front. It's for labor. It's demo. That's labor. And so we've just learned over time to put checks and balances in play. Like when the contractor says, okay, this much work is done, we don't just send the money to the contractor. We have a third-party independent inspector go put eyes on it, make sure it's actually been done and correctly before we release the funds. Like those are the things that we just made a lot of mistakes early on that allowed us to create the systems that we use now in our own business and that we teach people with so that they can avoid those painful lessons.
Yeah, mine's not as exciting. Mine was it was literally a condo in Modesto that I intended to buy and hold and rent. I ended up getting relocated to Bakersfield while working for Target Corporation. And at the time I was like, I don't have time to buy and hold or to hold it and rent it because I'm going to be all the way down in Bakersfield and Modesto is too far. So I'm just going to sell it. And it was the worst decision I ever made because I made a $9,000 profit on it. And right now, I think the cost of my inaction, because one of my friends who at the time was like, you should totally keep this and rent it. And just here, I'll teach you, just join my community. I think it was like 40 grand at the time. And I'll teach you how to do that. I was like, what? No, I got to move. I got this big thing to do. And if I would have just held it and done what he said, I think it was like $790,000 between then and now is what I would have. Plus that asset still giving me I want to barf sometimes. So not as exciting, but because I didn't have the knowledge on what strategy to execute back then, again, it was like 19 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So that property in and of itself, if I would have held it, wow. Yeah. So it's just the crazy things that you don't know that add up over time. And then you realize, whoa, I missed an opportunity there. But that was mine. It's not as exciting. I look at it only because it's painful. Yeah, it's painful.
So that just goes to show you like the value of having someone who knows what they're doing there to guide you.
Yeah.
And then listening to that person.
Exactly. If I could go back, and my kids always ask, Mom, if you could go back in time and change a decision, I know exactly which decision I would change. Uh-huh.
2000, I'm sorry, now I'm 2008 came along. You had, did you say 450?
Yeah,
Units?
approximately. Yeah, units.
So what happened? At
Well,
that time?
a number of different things. There had to be a lot of like restructuring of things because I was just too highly leveraged at that point. So some of it was, negotiating with banks. Some of it was giving the property back to the lender, and some of it was selling off. But the selling off part was difficult because even people who wanted to buy it, financing became very restricted at that time. So
Right.
it was a large number of things. But the biggest thing that I learned through all of that was really, when you're planning out your buy and holds, is don't cash out as much as you can. You need to leave a decent amount of equity in the property, because that is what allows you the flexibility to navigate through a difficult time. And so as much as that was an awful, time that felt so crappy, I'm glad to have learned that lesson, because I'm able to teach our students now, like, look, don't go any higher with your leverage than 70 to 75%, which is mostly all that banks will do anyway nowadays. But even if they start getting crazy and getting up there, I just teach them, like, look, don't do it, because you never know. You never know when something in life is going to change, something in the market's going to change. And for you to have no options is not a good strategy. So, I'm very upfront with all of them. Like, look, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and I just wanted to get them all out of the way so that I could help you guys not have to ever make any of those. And they'll still go do things slightly their own way. And then after they'll be like, oh, that's why you said XYZ. I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, got it. Next time. Yeah, but I think that's just the biggest thing, is just to, to not get crazy. You don't need to pull all the profit out. It's a long-term buy and hold. Right. Allow it to be that, and allow the equity to just be part of your balance sheet. It makes you look financially, you are financially more secure because you have equity. That's all part of your wealth.
Right.
And every single month that equity is growing because the tenants are paying you rent. You're using the rent to pay down the mortgage. And every month the mortgage balance is going down, down, down. So as long as you're not trying to suck all of the profit out of it up front, you're really in a much safer position. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was really what the ultimate benefit of came out of that time frame was. But had that not happened, I'm not sure if I would have realized that. I probably would have just kept going at the pace I was, it wasn't a good, sound financial model. But until something bad happened, it didn't occur to me that there was anything wrong with it.
Right.
Yeah, but thank God it happened in 2008 and not when COVID hit, because then you would have lost 4,000 properties.
Oh my God. Right.
That would have been bad. Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you guys have such experience dealing with different markets now.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, the market will cycle every single time. Like, you just have to pay attention to it. And we're in different markets too, right? So we're in different geographic markets in 17 different states. So you look at that, it's different in each market, whether or not you can flip in it, whether or not you can hold in it, whether or not you're going to get a performing asset, or whether or not you're going to go for a value add. There's so many different ways to skin the cat. And knowing those different strategies is what it gives you the knowledge that gives you the power to make the right decision.
There's like 3 questions I want to ask. I'm trying to decide which one to go with. I'm in Boston, right? So our market is nuts, and it's usually like an appreciation play here, I believe.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to someone in a market like that?
To learn how to invest remotely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason is because it's not that you can't get a deal that works there. It's unlikely, but it's difficult because the prices are so high, and the rents are high, but they're not as high as the prices are. So it's difficult to cash flow there. A lot of the people that have come to us and are in our mastermind are people who live in Jersey, New York, California, Massachusetts, places where it's just DC, places where it's just really hard to actually get properties that cash flow. And they come to us because one of the things that we specialize in is we do everything remotely. We don't ever fly to our properties. We don't walk our property, nothing. Like, everything we do remotely. And so because they live in markets like that, and they're like, I can't find a deal that works to save my life. And on top of it, I'm going to have to put down $100,000 just to get into something that barely even cash flows. Whereas with a much smaller amount of money, I can get into something in the Midwest, but I have no idea how to do that. Well, I've been doing that literally from day one, because I started in California and I was like, it's going to take so much capital. I didn't have any. And so luckily I had a mentor back then who showed me how to do it remotely. And I've been doing it that way ever since. And that's one of the big differentiators with Jen and I is we do everything remotely. So a lot of our students are like, I can't invest if I don't learn how to do this somewhere else. But that's a really big mental leap for people to make,
Yes.
especially not being educated about it. So they come in, we basically teach them how to do it and then get them started doing it and just hold their hand along the way at every step. And then they're learning like how to think through the different challenges that come up. So they know how to get through them, because every deal is different. Every single deal is different. Every market is different, little nuances. But when someone knows how to think through, to think like an investor, to think like a problem solver, they're really armed with the ability to navigate through nearly anything that comes up.
That's true.
Anyway, I feel like I probably took that off a long track.
So if you're investing remotely, I mean, I have yet to invest. I think I'm probably going to go with a REIT in the end, because I'm just like, you guys know a lot more than me. Here's my money. But if I were to invest remotely, I'd be concerned that I wasn't there to sort of oversee the project management, or sorry, the property management or anything like that. You must have to have a good network to find people that you trust.
Yeah,
Well, trust is not the answer.
Yeah,
Right? You
trust
trust
is
but
not a thing.
verify.
Yeah.
Trust but verify. But yes. If you think about it though, if you were even investing in your own backyard and you needed, one of your properties needed a roof replacement or whatever, like how would you find them?
I would ask around people who have used those people.
Yeah, but I mean, like, are you walking
find them?
around the
Oh,
streets?
no, probably not.
I need a roofer, right? That's not happening. No matter what you do, you're gonna be asking around, getting referrals, getting online, picking up the phone. So I think that there's just this self-limiting belief that folks have that, oh, I gotta be there, right? I have to be there to make this happen. But the reality is that even if you're gonna have to do all the same things, whether you're 50 feet from it or 500 miles from it or 5,000 miles from it, you still got to pick up the phone.
Right, of course.
Unless you're gonna walk over there, but that's not very scalable.
Yeah, and it's one of the things we teach, which in the very beginning of just like the coursework, we do have a whole thing on just a mindset of remote investing, because everything we teach assumes people are doing it remotely, which they can do it at home. That's fine if they happen to live in a market. But we talk about this mindset shift, because once you start to realize that your activities they're not different, whether you're doing it where you live or elsewhere, you're still going to have to build a team. Well, how are you going to find a team? You're going to have to go to websites that have realtors to find realtors, and websites that have contractors to find contractors, and websites that have home inspectors and property managers. And then you're going to get on the call, because you're not driving to these people. Even at home, you're not driving to have in-person interviews with people. You're just talking to them. So once you start having the mindset shift of, I'm going to get on the phone and talk to people anyway, once you start doing it, you start realizing being there in person doesn't change anything. It's just making the decision that or getting the experience of realizing this is the same thing. I have friends and I have good relationships with all of our team members. I've never met them before. It doesn't matter. I know them. They know me, right? Just like with Zoom really, COVID kind of helped a lot of people get like accustomed and comfortable to being in an online world where we have been for years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's the other thing that I've always said about remote investing is people are like, isn't that dangerous? Well, here's what's dangerous to me. Like, if you're not a licensed and experienced general contractor, but you're going to go look at the work that the GC did to go verify that he's done it correctly, what are we really doing here? We're really shooting ourselves in the foot. So when it's remote and you cannot do that, it's a lot easier to wrap your mind around spending $100 to go have a licensed home inspector go put eyes on that work. Whereas when people are at home, they will skip all sorts of the steps that help keep you safe. They'll just skip them because in their mind, they're like, well, I'm here. Or maybe you just don't really have a lot of time if your property is, 30 minutes away and you're like, oh, well, I should go check on it. Well, how much time does that add to your life of going to do that? And even when you go check on it, and then what? Okay, you've checked on it. and so you start realizing that there's a whole way to project manage without you physically being there. And even the times where we've wanted to like kill one of our contractors because of whatever, fill in the blank reason, it's like, oh, I want to fly out there right now. And then we're like, okay, then what? Well, first of all, how much is a last minute flight to wherever? And then hotel and car and food. Oh yeah, and by the way, we have 4 kids. Like, who's supposed to watch them? Like, it's not realistic. Instead, it's like, okay, how else could we solve this issue? Okay, who else do we know in the market? We have all this whole team set up, because that's the way we teach people to do it. So they have a whole team set up, and any one of those people can go to the property instead of you if you felt like someone needed to go. Anyway, everything can be solved through a laptop and a cell phone if you just start thinking through that way, and you realize I don't actually have to be there. But sometimes it takes going through that and really envisioning what that looks like. Oh, yeah, I really don't, because even if I touch it and I see it, what does that really tell me? A whole lot of nothing. I'd much rather have an experienced realtor or broker with an experienced general contractor, experienced property manager, experienced home inspector telling me data that is from their experienced minds. They are experts in that location, experts in their field.
Right.
But if I'm there and I can go see it, and I can go inspect the property myself, oh my gosh, there's, cool. That's a $20,000 to $80,000 error that people will make because it's there. But when it's remote, you start to realize you can't do a lot of things, which means you must learn to lead the experts who are in their field, who are local to that market, and they're going to do 1,000 times a better job than what you would do or what I would do, because this is what they do full time, all the time, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
can you think of like what case comes to mind when I say, tell me about your most successful student?
Oh gosh, which one? Geez. Well, I'll tell you about our first student when we went to this group from like one-on-one to group. That was Steve Caro. So Steve started, and it was a year and a half ago. This is February. It was February of last year. And he came in right out of the gate, got a deal within the first 4 weeks, closed it. So he got a single family home first, then he got a duplex like 2 weeks later, and then he got another single family, and then he ended up getting a package of 5 duplexes, so 10 more units. So he just like boom, 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 right out of the gate went crazy, because he was like, oh my gosh, same thing. He never invested at all. And then he definitely didn't know how to invest remotely. So once he did the first one, he's like, oh my God, this is so much easier than doing it at home, because he had to put a property under contract where he lived. And it was just like, it was a disaster. He ended up backing out of it, and it took all this extra time. So once he figured out how to do this, he just went from 0 to 20 units within like six and a half months. And then he went on and he moved into our apartment program, because he's like, okay, I've got the duplex and single family home thing now. I want to go to bigger. So he ended up getting into our apartment program, and within a handful of months, he went under contract on an 18 unit, a value add property in Miami. He ended up partnering with a couple other people in the mastermind. So they had no problem raising the money, because they just partnered together, put in the money, and they closed on that deal. And then 2 or 3 months later, he closed on a 10 unit.
He closed from a tree.
Oh yeah, that's true. He goes on a hunting trip, and he was pretty much signing his closing documents
In a tree.
from a tree. We have a picture of it. It was pretty funny. But yeah, we have so many successful students. He's just so memorable because he went so hard, so
And he closed
fast.
from a tree.
And he was in a tree. That's why I
And he has
remember.
a full-time job.
Yeah. He's a
So
full-time. Yeah.
when people
Oh,
say, "Oh, I
wow.
don't know if I have time," does all these people that don't have jobs? They all have jobs.
Yeah.
They all have families. They're doing this on the side until they get to the point where they don't have to go to a job anymore. Now it's an option.
Yeah, we have a lot of student success
Oh
stories.
yeah. Tons.
2 more that come to mind are Marietta Franco. She got an apartment within her first 2 months in the program and just went for it, 7-unit apartment deal, and ended up now she's going on and doing JVs in another apartment deal.
It's just an 18 and a 12 and a 12 unit.
Yeah, with Debbie and Felicia that they were doing a JV on. The most recent one is probably Alicia.
Yeah.
Alicia Lehau is a beast.
She is a beast.
This
She's
woman
amazing.
did 6 deals in her first 45 to 60 days in our program. 6
Unheard of.
deals. 6 deals. You heard it right. By her 75th day, she was already asking us, how do I get into apartments? She enrolled into our apartment program 4 months into her regular 2 to 4 unit program, and then started crushing it on apartments. She's done 12 deals since she started in July.
Yeah, she's
So yeah,
She is a beast.
one of the themes that we notice is that the students that get the best, fastest, swiftest results are the ones that come in, consume the course over a weekend. Because, in some cases, the course is like 10 hours worth of stuff. If you just bang through it really quick, you can get into action on the weekend. Yeah, it was a week Alicia enrolled, did the course over that weekend. She enrolled like on a Thursday or Friday, did the course that weekend and was in a deal, like had a deal under contract 7 days later.
Yeah, that was.
She was the fastest one so far.
Yeah.
The fastest, and she hasn't stopped. In fact, she's also like a master networker, really. I mean, everybody in the, she's helped, oh, I have a deal for you. I have a deal for you. I have a deal for you. Like she just finds the deals, locks them up, and is doing really good at JV partnerships. But we have a lot of stories like that. That's just the one that comes to mind because I just was watching her case study video thinking, oh, that was just for her first 3 deals. I need to do another one for the last 9.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, we have a lot of students who they come and they get that first one and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so doable. And then they realize they have the network because it's this community of people. They're getting to know each other. And once they figure out that first one, like the second deal comes fast, and the third and the fourth, because they have all the relationships and all that work it took to get that first one, all the phone calls and the deals they're analyzing, and all the relationships they're building. Like it takes like a lot to get that first one. But then when that first one hits, all the stuff you've already done is still going, the momentum's still going. And so deals 2, 3, 4 come really fast. And then if they don't have the funds to do like so many deals, which most people do cap out after, well, sometimes after one, but they have this community and other people are like, I'll do a deal with you. I've got some capital sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
And so we have like just story after story after story after story of people getting their first, second, third, fourth, fifth deal. And it just keeps perpetuating.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That must be so exciting for you guys.
It is.
It really is. We love it.
Track the numbers, track the door count, track the
Yeah.
cash flow. And like on average, the students that are doing their deals within a year, they're typically adding anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000 in annual cash flow on their first couple of deals.
And that's just cash flow.
Cash
Yeah, that's
flow.
the cash flow.
Yeah.
That's after everything, right? So
Right.
it is fun. It's very fun to watch. It gets addicting for sure.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I've kept you a little bit longer than I promised that I would. So I want to thank you for your time. We're going to put all your contact information in the description so people can get in touch with you. And and maybe we can even tag the people that you were just mentioning so their friends can see that they're so cool that they got mentioned in a interview.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love
Cool.
it.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much, guys. This has been so much fun. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, everybody else out there, everybody has a story to tell. So what's yours?